President Trump facing a decision on whether to help Israel attack Iran, the latest on the conflict overseas. Fayetteville leaders are looking at other options to help unhoused residents. This after a plan to create a safe camping site failed.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
And good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jacob Luthi, joined by Joshua Weisel. Rain, rain, go away. I kind of like what we're seeing for this next week. I'm a little bit tired of the rain, but looks like a pretty nice week ahead.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of us further to the south are still dealing with rain, but the rest of us are going to start dealing with more of those hot temperatures. And let's take a look at those cameras out there. If you saw me looking up a second ago, looking at some of our cameras off to the side, and the reason that is I'm trying to put together the story to show you that we've got rain to the south, and then we've got nothing but sunshine to the north. And I'll show you Poto basically is going to be the best storyteller for this activity. Notice a little bit more cloud coverage this morning, and that's because we've got a couple of showers and thunderstorms further to the south. Elsewhere around the region, you can see it's nothing but beautiful up here in Fayetteville. Sunny skies, and it's hot. How hot is it? Well, current temperatures are in the 80s, even some 90s. Let's throw in a dew point factor. You can see upper 70s. That 80 in Sallisaw is incorrect. 60s as well. That leads to these feels like temperatures. 80s, 90s, even 100. So it's going to be hot out there. We're going to be talking about nothing but heat and sunshine for northwest Arkansas today. Maybe a couple thunderstorms for portions of the River Valley as well, with some hot temperatures. Details in just minutes.
Thanks, Joshua. An Iranian missile attack overnight struck the main hospital in southern Israel, wounding people and causing major damage. The tensions between the two countries could ratchet up even more if President Trump decides to allow U.S. forces to help strike a nuclear facility in Iran. In response to Iran's attack, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the military to intensify attacks on Iranian targets. And Israel's defense minister said Iran's supreme leader should not continue to exist. At the White House, President Trump returns to the Situation Room as the U.S. weighs whether to join Israel offensively. CBS News has learned Trump approved attack plans on Iran, but hasn't made a final decision, according to a senior intelligence source and defense official.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
Sources say the president has held off in case Iran agrees to give up its nuclear program. Meanwhile, the State Department has alerted U.S. citizens in Iran to leave now. The U.S. ambassador to Israel also posted on social media that American citizens wanting to evacuate Israel can sign up on the State Department's website, and the U.S. organizes charter flights and cruise ships for evacuation. And in a landmark decision, a divided U.S. Supreme Court has upheld a Tennessee law restricting some medical treatments for transgender minors. Opponents have argued the treatments are life-saving for transgender minors or those diagnosed with gender dysphoria. 26 other states have laws with similar restrictions. Tennessee argued it has, quote, a compelling interest in encouraging minors to appreciate their sex, particularly as they undergo puberty. In a 6-3 decision, the court said Tennessee's law does not violate equal protection guaranteed by the Constitution. So what does this mean here at home? Well, in 2023, a federal judge struck down the state's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, called the SAFE Act, ruling it to be unconstitutional. Then the state of Arkansas appealed that decision in federal court last year. Now, with the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to uphold the Tennessee law, a law very similar to the SAFE Act, Arkansas may be able to revive it. Arkansas may be able to revive it in state court. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU of Arkansas, has released a statement that they believe this decision will not yet have an impact here in the state. They say in part, quote, Arkansas's ban remains blocked and gender-affirming care for transgender youth remains legal in our state. We are still awaiting a decision from the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in Brandt v. Griffin. In other news, a verdict in the second trial of Karen Reed has found her not guilty in the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend. Reed's first trial ended in a mistrial. It all began back in 2022 when Reed was accused of striking her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV and leaving him for dead in the snow. Reed's lawyers told the jury they believe O'Keefe was killed in a fight inside a home, and that possibility was never investigated by the lead investigator. She was convicted on a lesser charge, operating under the influence, causing serious injury.
I could not be standing here without these amazing supporters who have supported me and my team financially and, more importantly, emotionally.
Reed was sentenced to 1 year probation and now faces a civil wrongful death lawsuit filed by O'Keefe's family. And continuing coverage at the state capitol, where the leading critic of the proposed Franklin County Prison project is raising new questions about the planner's projection. State Senator Brian King said Wednesday that the facility will end up costing far more than lawmakers and the governor have set aside.
The reality is you are looking at, in 6 years, you might have 1,000 beds up there for $825 million. That's $825,000 per bed. That's just physically irresponsible.
In his news conference, King also insisted that the Franklin County site will go over budget because new sewage lines will have to be built. Stay with 5 News for any updates as this story develops. And the Fayetteville City Council has voted down a plan for a safe camping site for the city's unhoused population. This leaves the question, well, what's next? Laura Castleman tells us more.
The Safe Camping Initiative would have allocated a $630,000 budget to provide housing support for those who need it. I spoke with Ward 2 Council member Sarah Moore, the sponsor for the initiative. She tells me this was meant as a short-term solution, but with a long-term goal.
The money was going to be available to be able to create safe camping sites at 1+ locations and be able to provide the staffing and the necessary supports and resources, be it through cabins or tents, and additional resources and services that would be needed for that community.
Moore tells me, though the initiative was voted down, she is still looking for a solution.
Some of my colleagues are concerned about wanting to make sure that there's a regional approach, and I agree that we do need to have a regional approach where, every city is contributing in each of the counties, because unfortunately people do become unhoused in all of our locations.
I reached out to Ward 1 Council member Bob Stafford, who voted against the Safe Camping Initiative proposal. In a statement, he says, "It will take all of us partnering together, cities, counties, faith-based organizations, colleges, and nonprofits to be able to make real progress in moving people out of homelessness and into more stable housing."
I talked with Fayetteville City Council member Teresa Turk, who tells me that the unhoused population comes from all over the region and that Fayetteville taxpayers can't take on this burden alone. She also tells me that Fayetteville City Council members are both saddened and frustrated that they have yet to find a solution for the unhoused population.
I think exploring what avenues might be available, much like what we did when we invested in the 8 cottages that we have for almost $1 million, though, to put those in place with new beginnings. And so I know there's been talk of tiny home communities.
In a statement, Fayetteville Mayor Molly Ron tells 5 News, "The need for supporting our unhoused neighbors remains urgent and unchanged. My administration plans to bring forward an initiative that equips local service providers to expand their programming. I will continue to call on our regional neighbors to champion collective action."
Providing housing ultimately keeps everyone safe. It uplifts our whole community, and that's what we ultimately are trying to do in the city of Fayetteville, is make sure that we're welcoming everyone, that we're looking out for the safety and well-being of every Fayetteville resident.
In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Laura Castleman, 5 News.
An Arkansas state representative from Benton County is calling for a funding freeze in Fayetteville. Cave Springs State Rep Kendon Underwood says he filed the formal complaint related to what he calls a sanctuary city policy. Well, now this filing is due to comments Fayetteville Mayor Molly Ron made about police not assisting ICE agents with civil immigration enforcement in the city. We spoke with Representative Underwood about his concerns.
And so based off of her comments, it sounds like what she's saying is Fayetteville's going to be a sanctuary city. They're not going to comply with ICE or assist ICE in any way. And so to me, that seems to run afoul of state law.
We've reached out to Mayor Ron's office and was told there would be no further comment, with Fayetteville City Attorney Kit Williams saying he would be sending a statement soon. Meanwhile, State Representative Nicole Clowney of Fayetteville released a statement saying in part that, quote, "taking shots at our city is a distraction that pulls everyone away from keeping our community safe." You can read more and follow updates on our website at 5newsonline.com. And the Arkansas Razorbacks run in the College World Series is now over. The Hogs came up short against longtime rival LSU Last night, the teams faced off in a must-win game for the Hogs, who came out strong with an early lead. Arkansas held a 5-3 advantage going into the bottom of the ninth, but LSU came back, and Jared Jones crushed a walk-off hit to win it 6-5 for the Tigers. The Hogs are heading home after one of the most heartbreaking losses in program history. And today is Juneteenth, marking a celebration of freedom, legacy, and justice. The holiday shines a light on a powerful moment in American history when the final promise of emancipation reached Galveston, Texas. On June 19, 1865, Union troops arrived in Galveston with life-changing news. Slavery had ended. Though the Emancipation Proclamation was signed 2 years earlier, many in the South didn't learn they were free until the Civil War had ended. Known as Freedom Day or Black Independence Day, Juneteenth has grown into a nationwide celebration of fiscally becoming a federal holiday in 2021. It was signed into law by then President Joe Biden, who designated it as a federal holiday. And in honor of Juneteenth here at home, several events are happening across the state to mark the occasion. From Bentonville to Fayetteville, Arkansans are coming together to celebrate through art, music, and community reflection. In Bentonville, Crystal Bridges is hosting a day of music, art, and family-friendly activities until 4. Then in Fayetteville, the University of Arkansas will hold a celebration June 21st, followed by a festive march and community cookout on June 22nd. All events are free and open to the public. And to see a full list of local events to celebrate the holiday, you can text the word Juneteenth to the number on your screen, 479-785-5000. We'll send you a link to the article on our website.